This week in a conversation, I have the privilege to welcome once more my good friend, Alice Liddell. She's just released a brand new novel titled Succumb to Darkness. Interesting fantasy novel. Um, I'm going to be talking to Alice about all about it. But before I get to this very interesting conversation with Alice Liddell, I just want to let you know that I'm very happy to have this conversation, to be back in the conversation. Although it's not going to be the way it used to be, but every now and then, when I have good friends like this, I publish a wonderful book. I really have to take some time out of my busy schedule to be at the ready for that conversation. So before we get into this, I also like to remind you my novel, Bittersweet Memories of Last Spring, it's available everywhere. Just what I want to say. So if you haven't, if you've not gotten a copy, please do the best you can to have one. But if you already have, you can always also refer the book to a friend. Um, this is the best way to support my literary career. And also, I'm encouraging you to subscribe to the conversation. The best way also to support CSMS Magazine is to subscribe to it. And if you do, don't forget to click the notification bell. That way, every time a video is posted, it will go directly on your portable. So let's get started. Again, my name is Ardain Isma. It's an honor to have once more my old friend, impeccable, prolific writer, Alice Liddell, also known as Lauren Masterson. As a matter of fact, the publication is, the author's name is Lauren Masterson. Uh, I know that, but before we get to that, I have a couple of questions right on the intro, Alice. But I just like to ask you this specific question because I've read the
Yeah,
story and you're so well versed in French. Could you please tell the audience a little bit? How did you come to master French this way?
absolument. So, as a young child, actually, my parents started teaching me. So, private tutoring. So, I had the little picture books and, the little tape cassettes to sing along to and all that. And then as I got older, I actually had a private French tutor that I would do like after school classes with. And that was kind of a gap until I got to the age where public schools offer other languages. And so then I took language throughout my schooling from seventh grade all the way through to high school. But because of what I learned when I was a child, I was so advanced that by the time that I was in high school, they had to put me in a special like study advanced group that only like four other students were in, where it was like school, but everything's in French. So we were like doing book reports in French and like, reading history textbooks in French and
Wow.
all of that. Yeah, and at my day job now, I actually work at a company that's very global, and I work with people in the UK and in France. So it's
Wow.
it's been very handy throughout my life to be a multilingual person.
I just have to let you know that Alice Liddell has a new book titled Succumb to Darkness. Interesting fantasy novel. Of course, it is within this framework we're talking about French, because lots of French is infused into the story.
Yes.
So going back to that, Alice, why did your parents decide to encourage you to learn French? Was that do you have descendants from your relatives with French background?
That's the funny thing is, growing up, my teachers used to call me la petite fille française qui n'est pas français, meaning the little French girl that's not French. Our family actually doesn't have any ethnicity in France. All of our background is in other European countries like
Right.
the UK and Germany and places like that. But it was something that my parents really wanted me to learn because
Mhm.
both of them know
Mhm.
French because they actually learned it when they were in college. And my mom
Okay.
actually went away to France to
Okay.
study abroad for, I think it was about a year or so. So it was very important to them. And they saw the value in having multilingual skills. So they wanted to instill that in me. And I mean, it's true. Knowing multiple languages does give you a leg up in the world.
Two characters really impress me very much. Is first it's the protagonist, even Angela, and also Misherman. Okay, now you choose this specific word because if you don't know French, the name may not mean much to you. But since I know French, because I know ami chemin means meet me in the middle of the road. So,
Yes.
and it is very creative that you pick a name like this, and the role also fits the character. So, how did you come to ami chemin, Alice?
So I came up with that because it deals very closely with the idea of gray morality that comes up a lot in this
Okay.
story, in that nothing is truly as black and white as we view it to be, or as we would like to view it to be, that there is far more of that gray area in our lives, in our beliefs, and all of that, and how Evan Angela goes from being this fallen angel where her life is very black and white, there is only good and evil, to learning that the world is actually a very gray morality place and having to deal with that. And Amisha Men is kind of the tour guide for her in this journey in learning about gray morality and seeing, how that impacts her views, as well as learning to be a part of this new world, as well as because I know that you said that you haven't gotten to the end yet, so no spoilers. But her name also has a fun twist near the end of the
Okay.
story. It's going to be a big I gotcha moment.
Okay. I'm waiting to see it. Of course, and that keeps me on my toes.
Yeah.
Now you already give me that hint. I really have to go meticulously to the very single word. And also, people, it is an attribute people always like to associate me with it, which is descriptive writing, and all you are a master on that. you know, you
Thank
don't
you.
tell, you simply show. And I'm so proud to tell everyone that Alice Liddell is also my editor.
It is an honor. It truly is. I've had so much fun and I've learned a lot being your editor, and your books are fantastic. So, shameless plug. Ardain's books are amazing. Please go buy them. We are so excited for book two. It's going to be amazing, I promise.
Let's hold it wet. Get
Yes.
there. Now, Alice, on Succumb to Darkness, can we fairly say also it falls into the category of dystopian fantasy? Because there's so many, especially when she's trying to get away into the vampire world, you know, she meets so many bloody things. Yeah. Can we say that?
Absolutely, we can, especially because all of this is supposed to parallel the historical setting of the French Revolution. So, what
Right.
we're seeing is like kind of like the final moments before that powder keg goes off of these two sides clashing
Mm.
and rising up against the nobility. And that's what happens near the end of the book, is the start of this world's version of the French Revolution. So there are definitely some dystopian aspects to this story.
And I really enjoyed I'm not going to say political backdrop of the story, but it's the historical backdrop of the story.
Right.
You know, and that's interesting. And you really ought to go back to studying French Revolution to be able to write it so eloquently, and weaving back and forth from one language to the next, and you can see the author has it. Now, did you read a lot of French historical writers?
Absolutely, yes. So it is one of my pet interests. I have several pet interests in specific moments in history in different countries that I really enjoy studying. And I actually have an entire shelf on my bookshelf that's dedicated only to the very short reign of Versailles in France and
Mm,
the French Revolution after.
mm,
So, reading about Louis the Sun King, reading
mm,
about Marie Antoinette, reading
mm,
about Rousseau, reading
mm,
about the Great Terror, and then
mm,
reading about the Age of Reason and
mm,
just all of the craziness that came out of that. And it took them far longer than what a lot of people realize to reach this true sense of democracy and the country kind of settling into daily
mm.
life again. There was a lot of madness that
Exactly.
happened in
Exactly.
between those spaces of time, and it was actually a pretty scary time
Really.
to be alive during that
Mm.
time period. Very dystopian, very chaotic.
Now, let me answer this question, Alice, because I know um, you read one chapter and on one of your on your YouTube channel.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, for those of you watching, I'm just going to put a link at the bottom of the video so you can get a feel. The author Alice reads whole chapter for you, but also you you create some sort of while you as you read, there are pictures that set the viewer, into the real scene. You position whoever's viewing the video, you know, to see exactly what Alice is talking about. Do you have a video editor or someone who very creative at doing that?
No, I am very much a one-man band in that I do it all. So I took the time and I actually put together the whole video. I recorded it myself. I edited it myself. I found all the free use pictures and free use music and sound effects, and I put it all together myself. It took me about 3 days to create it in total. So yeah, everything with my books, my art, my YouTube channels, I do it all myself.
So how do you discipline yourself to do all of this? Because by the way, Alice is one of the most prolific writers out there, writing across genres. So how do you discipline yourself to do that?
Yeah. So that is something that I do talk about on my YouTube channel because I know that that is a common thing that a lot of people ask in the writing community is how do you create that discipline for yourself and, fit that into your schedule because we all lead busy lives and things like that. And the two biggest factors are number one, I'm very lucky that my day job is remote. So I get to sit here, literally here all day, every day. I don't have to go anywhere. And then, as well as this was largely my upbringing, that even as a child, I was very much raised that, you know, we sit here and we do our work, we get our work done. You have priorities, you have focus. So, this has been my whole life since I was a child with, extracurricular activities and language classes and then, art and writing and all of that. So this has been my life since I was about, I would say about 7 years old. So it's just been ingrained in me. And with keeping in that, it's just, I have built a schedule, a daily schedule for myself, and I just adhere to that. It's not like hour by hour, but it's definitely, I wake up and then I do this and then I do that. And I just, go down the list. And that's kind of my day. My day is very similar
Mhm.
day to day. And that's what also makes it easy to be disciplined is when you wake up and you kind of do the same thing every day. It's part of your routine. It's just kind of what you do rather than this extra thing that you're trying to find space to squeeze in there.
And you know what? not only you're doing multiple things, but you are also a perfectionist. And I can speak loudly about this because when the British author who reviewed Bittersweet, and the first thing she says, she says clearly, the book is spotless, it's flawless. And she even writes down, she wants to know who is the editor. You see what I mean? So I feel so proud when I read
Thank
those
you.
lines.
I'm so honored. Thank you.
You know, you really, I remember the first time we talked and you said your doctor advised you to take it easy
Yeah.
because you're doing too much.
Yep.
So have you been taking it easy?
I have. So I have been very good and I've been adhering to my therapist's rules and that we eat 3 meals a day
Okay.
and we sleep 8 hours each
Okay.
day. So we're doing awesome on that. And
That's
I
good.
know that sounds like the bare minimum, but I was living the life previously where I would go anywhere from 2 to 3 days at a time, not sleeping at all, and drinking coffee instead of sleeping to keep myself
Wow.
awake. And I would forget to eat. So sometimes I would only eat like once a day, and it would
Wow.
be complete nonsense and not like real food and stuff. So, yeah, I'm definitely doing way better than I used to. Don't recommend that lifestyle. It's not healthy. Don't do that.
So Succumb to Darkness is a project that has been in the works for some time now.
Hmm.
Now, you say that first you wanted it to go, you wanted to take the book to a traditional publisher, and you you nearly, you were very close to getting that.
Yeah.
But at the last minute, what happened?
So, trying not to step on any toes here. But the gist of it was that this publisher kind of jerked me around in
Right.
that they said that they wanted to publish it and they were going to extend a contract, but then they had to go and contact some specific person that was a part of the publishing house, and then there was another person that they had to contact that was part of the publishing house, and then they went on vacation, and then they had to look at some other stuff, and it was just a series of unnecessary
Right, right.
delays. And at that point, it just started to become a red flag where it was just so not normal. And I reached out to my mentor, Tina Jens. She was my professor in college, and she's now very much a very good friend of mine and my mentor. And she said, "Oh yeah, pull that manuscript. That's red flag. Don't sign with them." So yeah,
Mhm.
that's what happens. It was unfortunate.
Okay, and you decided to go independent because I know you used to you have your own independent publishing house.
Yes.
So the book is published through the your own publishing. Now, Alice, is there a special lunch that we are expecting, like a big kind of the launch of the book, or are, are we expecting that?
So we're kind of in it right
Oh,
now.
we're in
So
it now.
there's,
Okay.
yeah, we're in it right now. So the book is officially launched, and that's a big part of why I've been releasing like that reading that I did of chapter one. Just today, I released a video talking about the history of how I was inspired to write this novel.
Mhm.
There's been the whole marketing campaign and just putting things together with different
Right.
interviews and different events. And it's going to make its first in person debut at my next convention, the Heyman Public Library Author Fair in June. So,
In June.
very
Okay.
excited for that.
Very good. That's next month, right? That maybe
Yep.
in a few weeks from now. That's interesting. And that's going to be
Yeah.
in Chicago, right?
That one's actually in Hammond, Indiana. So
Um,
it's not too far.
okay. Now, I know you have many other works. I know you also have a historical novel that you. So where are we in this project?
Which
The
Historical
historical novel
novel.
we talked about, because I know you, because you have a collection of poetry that you were working on, and then you have I remember you told me you have several other projects.
Oh yeah, the big great big list of everything. So there are actually a total of 97 books on that list.
97.
Yeah.
These
So
are
that's why
these
I
are
was
some of
like,
the
which
projects
one? I
that
don't know.
some of them are near completion, others are just the beginning, or
Mhm.
the.
Yeah, they're all sorts of in between. So basically the timeline right now is I've already started uh doing the completion work on my next novel, which is a romance novel. And then after that, I'm going to start on it's an old manuscript, so I'm basically rewriting it to bring it up to my current standards. And that's going to be book one of my 13 book fantasy series. And it's also going to be fully illustrated. I'm going to do all the illustrations, and I've already
Wow.
started on that. And then the book after that is going to be my historical fiction, speculative fiction story, and it's going to be Marie Antoinette. But what if the night when they fled Versailles,
Uh-huh.
they were not caught? Because they get caught at the border on the way to Metz, and that's how they get taken prisoner to Paris. What if they never got caught? So that's going to be that novel.
Very hypothetical, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's going to be the next one. We should expect the next one. And then
Yeah.
when do you think that we can have an opportunity to lay our hands into that? A year from now,
Um,
2 years from now, when?
Yeah, I would definitely say anywhere from a year to 2 years from now. Just because with my experience with my previous fully illustrated book, Geisha Hands, it took me about 2 years to finish all the illustrations for that.
Mm.
And I expect this novel to take about the same amount of time to do that. So,
So at least you can illustrate your own book. So so that means when it comes to production, it's not too heavy on you as an author because you have the skills to cover all of this.
mm,
I'm talking about expenditure wise. Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely helps financially when you're able to basically do everything yourself. But then that also means that you have to spend the time and the effort to do everything yourself. There's always a trade-off, but it is very convenient that I'm able to do 90% of the work myself.
Now, if someone is in China right now and wants to get a copy of Succumb to Darkness, can that person really find it? Oh,
I'm
hmm?
I'm fairly certain, because all of my novels, when we release them, we do make sure that they are available in international markets.
Okay.
But the caveat of that is because they're published through Amazon Create Space. I
Okay.
don't know if China has anything with Amazon blocked, like specifically China, because they have certain stuff
Yeah.
blocked there. So
Yeah.
I don't know about that. But I do know for certain it's definitely available internationally. We had actually, kind of gone through the list, and I remember some of them that were on there were the UK and France and Italy and Japan, just a whole list of
All
places.
the
So
outlets where they sell books
yeah,
online. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so that's very good. And Alice, since we've been talking for close to almost a half an hour now, I just want to ask you this thing. Um, you say as a writer, I remember doing a conversation that we had. You say an author is supposed to read more than he writes. And my own experiences, I have a lot of friends, they themselves are writers, but they always try to skim through books to other books because they're too
Mhm.
busy focusing on their own projects. Is that a very good strategy?
Um, I guess it would depend on what exactly you're trying to accomplish. I mean, in any sense of it, I don't think skimming through a book is ever very helpful because at that point I kind of feel like what's the point of even reading it if you're not actually
Exactly.
sitting there and reading it? Um, and I kind of go through cycles, is what I do, in order to keep myself going so that I can help prevent burnout. Is, I'll have a cycle where I write a lot, and then I'll have a cycle where I read a lot, and, you know, so on and so forth, just switching between, my creative outlets, writing, reading, art, all that stuff. And going in those cycles helps to keep me fresh and keep me on the ball so that, my creativity is renewed. Because if you just sit there and you just write and write and write and write, you're going to get burnt out.
Exactly.
And if you just sit there and read and read and read and read, you're not going to work on any of your own work.
Exactly.
You need to have some overlap there to keep yourself nourished.
But I remember, I mean, this is I love to read, but I have to find the time to do so.
Yes.
So let's say if I go to Chicago and I say, hey, Alice, you know what? Meet me at Olive Gardens, for example. And I'm there first, right? And I'm reading Succumb to Darkness, and I'm in the middle of a chapter. I really don't want Alice to come right now because I want to finish it. Does that always happen to you, you know?
Very much. I have to be real careful about when I choose to sit down and read because once I get into it, I just want everyone to go away. I don't want to work on anything I'm supposed to be working on. I'm like, no, I'm busy reading a book. Like, go away.
Do you have a copy of the book with you now so you can show?
I do, of course I
Exactly.
do.
Okay,
Here it
great.
is. It's so beautiful. So this one I actually did not draw the cover myself. I
Okay.
commissioned a very close artist friend of mine because I love her style and I
Uh,
felt like it was a really good fit.
okay.
And I was very specific with having the cover designed because I wanted the characters to look exactly the way that they are in the book, as well as it was very important to me. Verso is black. And it made me so sad that it was literally impossible to find any images of black vampires. So we got some good representation going on
Uh-huh.
here.
Uh-huh. And now the lady in blue looks very
Yes.
much like my friend, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Any book signing between now and next month at the fair? Any signing or any
So that'll be happening at the author fair in
the other
June.
fair?
It's June 24th. Between now and then, I have a lot of other non-book related
Mhm.
events going on between now and then. So I'm doing a lot of stuff online in between now and then rather than in person, but there will be more in-person stuff once we kick off the summer.
And one thing I really like in your story, because out of respect to readers who don't know French, so you not only you put those little numbers, and then at the bottom of the chapter you tell them exactly what the words are. So you don't want to wait until you create a big glossary at the bottom at the back of the book. So that way, as you read, you can pretty much go along and learn French at the same time too. So that's interesting. Yeah. Our last word. Is there any particular lesson you would want to give to an author who's trying to be multitask and be as perfect as you are? So, what is advice that you want to give that person? You would want to give.
Absolutely. So, a big one that I've been seeing a lot online that people have been asking about is a lot of people have trouble deciding what to do with their book once they're finished with it. They're like, should I self-publish? Should I go through a publisher? What is the best way to go? And my advice with determining that for yourself is, are you okay with doing 100% of the work yourself? Because if you self-publish, you're going to have to do literally everything. And there's so much that comes with that.
Mhm.
But with working with a traditional publisher, you have to keep in mind that for them to do all that work for you, you have to give up a lot of control with your book and you have to be okay with that. Obviously, there will be some wiggle room that you can, discuss with them, but for the most part, you are going to have to be okay with giving some stuff up. So it's kind of that dance of how much are you willing to give up? How much are you willing to do yourself? And then also, most importantly, what are your goals with the book? So that determines very much whether I self-publish or I publish traditionally, is what are my goals for the book. So always think about that, don't just give up halfway through the process of, okay, I wrote my book, I'm just going to throw it out into the world and see what happens. You have to plan that out in order to give your book the most success possible.
Now, when you say traditional publishing, do you simply just mean the big ones, or do you include uh, indie publishers?
I include all of the publishers. So whether they're the big houses or the indie publishers, it's all the same process.
Okay.
It's you still have to send them by their rules the submissions, and you have to wait if they respond to you at all and go through the whole process, as opposed to you controlling the process yourself. So, those two types of process to be published, but definitely there's a lot of difference with indie publishers and big time publishers, and that's also a decision you have to make if you go the traditional publishing route, is how big you want to go. And again, that has to do with your goals, and also has to do with how experienced you are and how many publications you have under your belt to give yourself the best chance if you want to go to a big fish. So there's a lot, and research is your friend. Absolutely, please do research before just throwing your manuscript out there to the wolves, because there are so many scams out there. There's
Hmm.
so many publishers that are waiting to take advantage of wide-eyed, writers that are hopefuls. So make sure you do your due diligence.
So just to close the conversation, some folks also are considering hybrid. Is this something that you would want to advise a young writer to? It is a route that you would want to advise someone to try?
So it's not a path that I personally would ever take myself. And the people that I have seen take that route, I have seen far more hassle and
Mhm,
heartbreak than I have success. So
mhm,
I personally really don't recommend it.
mhm,
If you feel strongly about it and you have found success in it, that's really awesome. And I'm absolutely not going to, take
mhm,
that away from anyone. But at this time, from what I have seen, I really wouldn't recommend it.
mhm. That's what I always think. I said if a publisher really has confidence in me as an author, you shouldn't have to ask me to share the expenses.
Exactly.
So I don't respect for an author. So at least we've been talking for more than an hour now. We could go for a half hour, but we could go all the way because when we talk, it's always a blast.
Yes, I love
Yeah,
talking with
and
you.
I can't wait to have that on the conversation. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people will be very happy because the conversation, as you know, has been away for some times, and I'm getting solicitation every day. When it's going to be? It's going to be one of the a very pleasant surprise once they know that Alice Liddell new book and the conversation.
I'm so here for it. Thank you so much again for having me. You are wonderful. Thank you so much, Mon ami.